Satam, yoginis, hello and welcome. Today we have a video on the law of attraction and manifestation. We will talk a little bit about this concept, which is quite popular. From a yogic perspective, we will try to understand if it works, why does it work, and if it doesn't work, why doesn't it work? Should we even want to try to apply it? Should we try to exercise this law of attraction in our lives? Let's go into it and let's explore it with this yogic perspective that we usually apply in this channel. This is a video that I've created with the trying to reply a comment that I got in one of the videos. I don't even remember which video was it, but one of the viewers, Dasamduar742, you asked for it. Here it is. So you asked for a video on this topic. And when you asked for it, we were busy with other courses. We were with the Karam Kriya course. Excuse me. And yeah, so we couldn't do it until now. And for those of you who are regulars on the channel, today we are doing this. Tomorrow we have a special video. I'm going to have a conversation with my sister. So you're welcome to come and partake in that conversation. And then next week, I'm going to come back to this course on the Yoga Sutras that I started during the summer. And I stopped right before the definitions of samadhi, and I needed a brief pause to reflect upon it. I'm still meditating upon that. Samadhi is such a deep topic, so we will go into that when the time is right. Law of attraction, let's go into that. I first heard about this from this very, very famous movie, The Secret, and book as well. It became very popular, and it's not considered science. This is more like pseudoscience or alternative thought, let's say. So how much of that is true or not, we don't really know, but there is a number of indications why in some ways this law of attraction could work. What is the idea of the law of attraction? The basic idea, the way I understand it, and I should have researched more before doing this video, but I'm kind of trying to go like in the moment. I haven't really prepared too much. So just this morning, a few notes. The way I understand the law of attraction is that how we are feeling, we are creating that in our life. So if we hold a number of negative emotions and negative thoughts, that manifests in our life, and then we can complain about it again because we feel that everything is against us and we feel unlucky, and then by that we get even more negative, and then we bring even more negativity into our life, and so you keep perpetuating that. And the idea was that you can change, and if you want to manifest something in your future, that's why it's called also manifestation, then you have to visualize it, and you have to feel positive about it, and you have to create an energy of attracting that into your life. And then the law of attraction says that when you manifest it enough, it will come. So when you visualize it enough, it will manifest into your life. So basically, you have to choose what you want to manifest, what your desire is, what you wish in your life, and then you have to create a number of affirmations on that and a number of visualizations on that, and you have to rehearse that in yourself and to put yourself in the position as if you are receiving that thing that you want. And with enough time and affirmations and visualizations, then and also acting as if you already have it, then this thing will become real and it will manifest, and then you will express gratitude for the thing that came that you were asking for. So that's the general overview of the way I understand it, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. And okay, well, how much of that is it gonna be, let's say, something reliable? How much of that process is reliable and how much is not reliable? How much of that is something that you can demonstrate or not? Well, first of all, it would be great if some of these things we could have a scientific demonstration of that, but it's very difficult to demonstrate something so ephemeral as, how you feel inside and what it manifests in the outside. But we can all relate to this in some way. And I'm going to give a few examples. One would be, um, I think I gave this example the other day when we were talking about the Yoga Sutras. When I was younger, I would feel very inappropriate about my body and feeling very tall, very thin, and in myself, I would hold a belief that I am not attractive to women. So if I had to approach anyone, if I felt attracted to a woman, or in that time, I would say a girl, right? I was a young man. And if I felt like I want to attract her and I want to approach her, I would feel all this negativity in me, all this mind, all these beliefs, all this feeling of inadequacy and feeling inappropriate and feeling ugly and feeling all those things would come up. And I would feel like I just cannot approach. It's going to be a disaster. And the thing is, I would avoid approaching anyone. And even if I did, it would probably go quite badly. But of course, I mean, if you go holding all those self-beliefs about yourself and you approach another person and you are already convinced it's going to be a disaster, probably the vibes that you give, if we want to call it like that, are going to be quite off. So the other person, if it's a reasonably healthy person and they feel somebody giving off these weird vibes, they're probably going to feel some sort of rejection, right? Some people have a different attitude about life. Some people have a different charisma or grace that they just project around. And then if you see a person like that, you feel naturally attracted to them. So yes, whatever you are thinking, you are projecting it out, and that's going to create a sort of effect into the outside. So that's something I believe that can be reasonably well demonstrated scientifically as well. Even though it's difficult to evaluate, apart from questionnaires, evaluate how confident you are of yourself and what kind of thoughts do you hold within you. But certainly, whatever you feel about yourself, you're going to project it to others, and others are going to see you in that way. I'll give you another example. I remember, and I already given this example before, I believe in this channel, but anyway, I was going to buy a knife. I needed a knife, a good knife. And I was coming out of my yoga class, I was teaching, and I just went straight into a shop. And I remember, I think I was probably even dressed as a yogi, like right now. I was even having the turban, probably. Anyway, I went into this shop, and it was a shop, like a reasonably large shop full of knives and all of the other kind of things like that, but very specialized shop. And the woman who was there, as soon as she saw me, she didn't like me. And she was convinced that I was just going to, walk around this shop and make her lose some time. She would have to be there in case I wanted to ask any question. She would have to answer my questions, and I will not buy anything. I could totally feel, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I could see it in her face and her behavior and her posture when she saw me and the face and all of this body language, that's what she was going through inside of her. And I really wanted a knife. I really wanted to get a knife. But so in spite of her attitude, I went through the motions. Okay, she doesn't want me to ask any questions, but I'm really interested about this. So I would ask her a few questions about knife sharpening and things like that. And she was just so disinterested. And she had many models. She had an incredible collection of knives in that shop, but it was just so disinterested to sell me that knife that I was just like, you know what? If you don't want to sell me a knife, I will not buy a knife. I didn't say that, but inside of me, like, all right, you don't want me to get a knife, I'm going. And as I left through the door, she did this sound. Like I knew it, like I knew he wasn't going to buy anything. So yes, I can imagine that was what she was projecting in herself, and she actually created the reality that I was not going to buy a knife. And actually, I went to look for another shop. It was like 10 minutes away, but I got there. The gentleman there was super kind and actually ended up buying 3 knives, which I didn't want 3 knives, but I ended up buying 3 because of his incredible capacity to be interested about knives and about you and wanting to, what do you want? What do you need? And can I help you? So that was such a different attitude to the other lady. And I think that's a way of law of attraction, right? So what you project, you attract. So in general, if you have a certain attitude in life, you're going to project that into the people around you, and you're going to attract people who are with a similar attitude to you, and that's going to help you go in the course of your life to where you are going. So if you want to go in that direction and you are positive about that and you're projecting that, you're going to attract people who are going to help you get in that direction. So that's, in general, I think that's somewhat true. And the same with the negative. So, but now let's go into the details, because you can, this law of attraction says that you can manifest anything, really. You can just, if you want it enough, if you want it hard enough, and if you make the visualization and the affirmations, and you give the steps properly, you act like if you already have it, and if you do it, and if you want it strong enough, it's going to happen. Well, not really. And here is where I think that the teachings disagree with this concept. But let's explore it step by step. I think if we take the different steps of the process of the law of attraction and we analyze them from a yogic perspective, will help. So let's do that. And every time we analyze something from the yogic perspective, what I try to do is see the karma and the dharma, the both sides of the coin. So the first of all, this concept of what is your internal state, whether it's negative or positive, that's going to be true in a way that how you are projecting yourself. So that's something that we need to consider it like that's a gift, to say to someone, well, you are maybe too negative. But let's go slowly. The first thing is, if you want to manifest something, you have to choose that thing that you want. So it's about, you are thinking, okay, I want to have this in my life, and then you imagine, I don't know, a house by the beach and ocean waves crashing on the shore and birds singing, and you have to visualize it very, very clearly, make the image very clear, and then you see yourself. How are you? Do you have a partner? Do you have family? What are you doing? Are you like painting a painting, or you're writing a book? What is that image that you wish to manifest? And then, so you have to choose that thing. All right. So first of all, what's the dharma and the karma of this? The dharma side of this is that you are not passive in your life. You are not expecting the universe to entertain you with this. The first step to hell, those of you who have watched the video on the 7 steps to hell will recognize the first one, passive expectancy. You are hoping that the world entertains you. Rather than that is, okay, I want to go in this direction, and you move. That's being proactive, and that's a healthy attitude. That's a dharmic attitude, to be active and move towards a certain direction. So if you can identify the goal in life and move in that direction, that's admirable, and that's going to be a dharmic attitude. Now, it's not the same when you aspire to something that is less tangible compared to something that is more concrete. So, for example, if you can see yourself, part of my purpose in life is to share what I have learned about something, no? So teaching this to others. That's an intangible shape, and then you can put it as a purpose, and you can walk towards that purpose, and that walking can take many ways, can take many forms. But if you say something very material and very specific, I want that house by the beach, then that's you are not giving space for the destiny to manifest. You are creating something very localized, and you are getting very attached to that concept that is very specific. So the karmic side of this is that when you are imagining a future, and of course it's different from where you are right now, part of this imagination and part of this desire to want something will come from an avoidance of the present, and from a feeling that what is happening to you in your life is something that you don't agree with, and you don't like it, and you don't accept it. So it's a lack of acceptance of the today, of what it is here right now. And now that's karmic. Because without acceptance means that we live our life as if we are being victims, victims of our lack, victims of society, victims of the things that happen around me, victim of a number of things. And with a victim attitude, there's no victory. Yeah, victim attitude, there's no victory. So having a purpose and finding the drive and having all the passion within yourself to go towards that purpose, that's dharmic. Having a material objective that you wish to achieve in order to escape from the reality where you are right now, that's karmic. And that's avoiding the way you are right now, not accepting where you are, and then having this victim attitude, which is a virus. Yeah. I mean, okay, just because it just is if a situation, I'm not saying that you have to accept and that's it any situation that is wrong in your life or that you feel painful in your life. I'm not saying we should just okay, I'm suffering, well, this is what it's for me in this lifetime, so I'm just gonna suffer all the way until I die. I'm not saying this, right? It's not about not wanting to grow and wanting to get to a better station in life. However, we cannot just escape the reality from where we are. Trying to escape this reality is going to catch up with us. So first we have to accept what has come. And here is where the yogic law of karma comes. So, if you have what you have right now, that's your karma. Can you accept that? Can you learn what you have to learn from that before moving on? And yes, we want to let go of whatever happened and learn the lessons so that they don't have to repeat. But if we just try to escape that karma, it's doomed to be repeated. So trying to escape something that we feel victims of, not having accepted or learned anything from that, and just try to escape that, that's not going to be a healthy attitude. So that's one thing. So if you are choosing something in this law of attraction concept, can it be something less physical and material, but more intangible and inspirational in the sense of how can I align myself with that purpose rather than achieving some physical aim or objective? So that's one thing. In the law of attraction, when you choose something, then you have to create some affirmations to move in that direction. Well, affirmations work relatively, have a relative chance of success. And that's because affirmations come from the positive mind, a part of us that we call it the positive mind, which means that you are going to be positive about it. And you're going to say, I'm handsome and beautiful. I'm very attractive to women, for example, right? And then just utilizing that voice and trying to say it out loud, there's another voice inside of you. Yeah, right. Really? Yeah, come on. Who are you kidding? So there is other sub-personalities, sub-voices within us that are playing tricks on us. And just by saying something positive many times is not going to help. I mean, what is the dharmic side of this? At least you are not reinforcing the negative voice, right? At least you are not all day with the victim attitude, but also lamenting on my own victim attitude. Oh, why am I like this? Why is this going like this? Now that's, going down a hole, and that's absolutely no help. Yeah, just going into the victim and the complaint. But just to say something that is not true, I am a confident person, when you are not, does not make you confident automatically. So positivity has the capacity to pull you in a direction where you enter into a delusional state, and you think anything is possible if I'm positive about it. Well, positive is great for the moment that at least you are not negative in the sense that, complaining on this. However, positivity is not reality. And just being very, very positive can make you make choices that can become very risky and it has a dubious result. It can be, you can be fortunate and they can go well and it could be great and you can reaffirm yourself. You see, that's why it worked, because I took risks. And okay, that's good. I mean, if you never approach a woman, you will never get a partner, right? That concept. So good, you are approaching, that's great. But at the same time, um, for example, with financial situations, no, if I want to be rich, or I want this house in the beach with, and this beautiful car in the entrance, so on. If you try to project this positivity around your financial situation, and you're saying, well, I'm gonna be projecting this positivity and thinking to myself, I am rich and prosperous, and you go like that with that, those affirmations in your head, and you're like, well, prosperity is coming, is right now coming, is coming to me. And then you start taking decisions based on that prosperity that is coming. And these risky financial businesses that you may get involved with, they may go well. And then you may be one of those who screams to the four winds how beautiful the law of attraction is, or you may bankrupt. And then you are like, oh, I'm not positive enough, or my affirmations were not good enough, or my visualization was not good enough. Or you will just say this law of attraction is rubbish, right? Because positivity by itself does not align with reality. Positivity is better than falling into a hole, but it's not much, much better in the sense that you can go into unreal expectations and a great level of delusion. There is a lot of delusion. Now, I don't know why I use that example of finding a partner, but if you look at the dating scene and how young men and women look for partners, there is a lot of delusion going around. And for example, we tell women, great, ask whatever you want, more power for you, try to have a good position in life. But then they have these incredible high standards of, they have to be over 6 feet and have 6-figure salary and so on and so forth. And it's like, are you for real? That's very positive. Great. Can you rate yourself? Yeah, I'm a 10 out of 10. It's like, really? You are like the most beautiful woman in the world? I think I am. Okay, well, all right. You're very positive. Great. But is that real? Or are you deluded, right? So these kind of situations, they are a consequence of having this positivity, extreme positivity that is not aligned with reality. So in yoga, we say, it's not the negative, it's not the positive, it's the neutral. And the neutral is the one that goes beyond the other two. Neutral is not apathetic, like nothing affects me. But it's about, you know what the negatives are, you know what the positives are, and you find the middle path. Buddha talked about the middle path, so finding the middle path. So it's not about creating affirmations. But yes, avoiding the negative affirmations, avoiding the negative, let's say, anti-mantras, that sometimes we have within ourselves, like, I'm just not happy enough, I'm just not lucky enough, I'm just not beautiful enough, I'm just ugly, I'm just fat, and whatever you are saying to yourself, those are anti-mantras. Yes, we should cut those out for sure. But then, can you have an attitude of being open to the grace without trying to, project something that is not real, if it makes sense? So that's the next step on the affirmations. And visualizations kind of goes in the same way. Yeah, you can visualize whatever you want, but you know what? The mind is very attached to the visual world. Yeah, the mind likes to think with images, and as soon as we open the eyes, 70% of our mind's attention goes towards what we see. So the visual aspect is very powerful, but it's also very hypnotic. So you can very strongly visualize that house in the beach and that beautiful car in the entrance and your beautiful wife or husband or whatever. You can be creating whatever image you want and visualizing itself, but the mind is extremely powerful and it can hypnotize you into that being real. And again, we go into delusion, right? So you can think that you are already there even before getting there. And so how real you are, how true is your experience? So visualization again comes back to utilizing a tool of the mind, but Are you utilizing it in a neutral way or in a diluted way? So that's it. Now, another of the concepts of the law of attraction and manifestation is this idea that you act as if you already are there, as if you already achieved that. So if you have, if you feel constrained by money and you can never do the things that you want, and you're like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And then you be very positive, create your affirmations, create your visualization, and then you go out into the world with the attitude of somebody who already has that financial blossoming, and you think that that's going to come into your life and you're convinced of that. Again, you're going to go into a situation that is going to be risky. And you know what? Sometimes risk pays off, right? You take risks that may have a consequence of you achieving that thing that you want. And that's why some people manifest what they are trying to attract through this law. And that's why the law exists and why it's become so popular. But acting as if you already there can, especially if you come from this level of delusion, can create all sort of nightmares. In living at the level that you are not. This is like the people who are, getting all this debt with the credit cards and, trying to continue living with at a certain level of status that they pretend that they are, and they want to convince themselves that they are at that level of status, and they try to buy their level of status. Buy a good suit to make others think that you are one of them, and then they will employ you, and then they will give you a good salary, so it was worth it, right? But is it? I mean, are you really? Because we can tell, whether it's real and whether it's not. And also, we forget here, when we are talking about something material, especially material things like money and, house and so on, we forget about the difference between abundance and prosperity, which is a key difference. There is three levels, just like the negative, positive, and neutral mind. There is a scarcity, there is abundance, and then prosperity. Now, scarcity is the first state, the one where you may feel inadequate, inappropriate, and ugly, and whatever you want. Fat, poor, you can put any adjective that you wish. And scarcity mentality is like there's only a limited amount of resources in the world and people are fighting for them and I have no right to take them. So scarcity mentality is this. You can still think, I'm going to fight for these resources, and that's still a scarcity mentality, but thinking like I have to bite everyone's head off to get my resources because otherwise they will take them. That's also scarcity mentality. And you can actually become quite successful in a business by biting other businesses' heads off. Yeah, so this is the one he gets taller by chopping other people's heads. That's not a very healthy attitude, but it works in a certain context in some levels when you are, you can grow your status by how fierce you are. And that's still scarcity mentality. Now, abundance mentality is like there's enough resources for anyone and you just have to manifest them. That's the law of attraction. It's trying to feel there's for anyone and I just want more in my life for me. And that's also not real, right? Not the one nor the second. And abundance, that's not richness, let's say. That's not prosperity. Prosperity, it's a conceptually a different level. It's not like a scarcity, it's not like abundance. It's not negative, it's not positive. It's about neutrality. And neutrality in the sense when we have to define prosperity, we sometimes do it like prosperity is not how much you have, but how much flows through you. So what's happening through your life? It's not how much money you have in your bank account, but are you doing what you have to be doing in your life? And do you have enough money to pay all the bills and the invoices and everything you have to do in your life? And does enough come that you can also overflow, that you can serve others, that you can share with others, that you can do your service, do your we call it good action, to give something for the others, to give something back also to where you receive your abundance from, your prosperity from. So prosperity is this, is how much flows through you, not abundance, prosperity. How much flows through you and feeling in a in a life that nothing is missing, nothing is empty. There's always something flowing through. Now that's conceptually a different state, and that can be a neutral state and a real state, based on reality, not based on fantasies and expectations that are probably not going to be met. So acting as if you already have it, again, that's very risky. But then there is also a dharmic side to it. Yeah, I'm always exploring the karmic and the dharmic. Sometimes in a consultation, we will say when somebody feels very closed in their life, and then we'll say, well, how do you imagine that a person who doesn't have this issue would feel? And then you try to put them in their shoes, and you asking them, well, how would you how would your breath be? Yeah? How would you breathe if you were in that state? So you're asking them to visualize themselves in that state. I'm using visualization here in a different way. And then how would you breathe if you were in that situation? So for example, this, let's say, is a person who feels very constrained because every time they try to approach an issue that is painful with their partner, the conversation goes very wrongly, and then they feel like they are never managing these issues, and it's becoming increasingly worse, and that's putting a lot of stress on the relationship, and so on and so forth. And then this person comes with all this anxiety, and just to open the mouth and speak is already scary. Then you can tell them, well, how would it feel to be in a conversation in which everything is flowing smoothly, and you are both touching upon this delicate issue, but you are helping each other to resolve it or dissolve it, to resolve the situation. And then you try to ask the person to try to visualize how would it feel, and then how would you breathe if that was the case. And then the person will start changing the body position, and the feeling in the breath will be something that anchors the experience within themselves. And then you ask them to repeat the breath. Notice it's not so much about the visualization, but it's more about the breath. And so the next time that they are with their partner and they have to talk about this, go into that kind of breath. Remember the breath, go back to the breath. And the breath is something that connects body, emotions, mind, and spirit. It's all connected through the breath. So by manifesting the breath, it's opening up the possibility for that enriching conversation in which they can resolve or dissolve the issue. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. So how can I feel my breath? And you can apply that to anything. If your issue is about fear, if your issue is about shame, if your issue is about uncertainty and feeling like you don't trust yourself, you have not enough trust on yourself or enough love on yourself. Well, how would it be the opposite? And look at that, we are talking about intangible things. I'm not talking about having a sports car in the driveway, right? I'm saying about intangible things, but that are very, very important, and they can have a profound impact in your life. Being trustworthy, trustworthy for others. It starts with being able to trust in yourself. And also being trusted in yourself means no lies, right? If I want to trust myself, and that truth is going to carry you on to a reality that is real, that is true, that means no lies. So the positivity, to apply positivity when something is not real, that's like lying to yourself. That's why it's different if you say, well, how am I breathing when I'm not that? And when I do trust in myself, how am I breathing? Now, can I replicate that breath? Can I go back into that breath and create that kind of feeling within me? So that's a very different attitude from trying to imagine something and be positive and create an affirmation about that. So the breath is very important. The breath is going to create that kind of feeling within you. And you can say, well, if you want to say it more like a new agey kind of way, it projects good vibes so that others will feel that you are trustworthy. And if you appreciate who you are, you appreciate what you have in your life, you love yourself, you're going to breathe in a particular way. And then if you breathe like that when you're in the street, when you go to job opportunity and you have the interview, when you go with that attitude, they're going to say, well, this is a person who loves himself. This guy loves himself and takes care of himself and appreciates who he is, and he's happy to be who he is. I want somebody like this in my company. It's going to be very different from somebody who's with their fear and they're not going to get me, and they will discover that I'm ashamed and that I am a fraud. I'm not real. So it's important to have this congruence within yourself. This is kind of like, I was just talking about dating before, and what many mothers say to their children, no? They say, you just have to be yourself. And that's true. That suggestion from all our moms who have always said, I love you how you are. You just have to be yourself. Well, it's true, you have to be yourself. But who are you? Who is that yourself? Because we don't know who we are. The self that we align with is the shame, is the feeling inappropriate, is the fear. So yes, be yourself, but first of all, know who you are and become somebody that is interesting and become somebody that you can love and that you can appreciate. I've gone light years away from where I was when I was younger. All those insecurities, I can appreciate my body. I can appreciate how I am right now. And I can enjoy being who I am, and I love myself. And probably there's still a long path to go to 100% love myself, right? To feel fully in love with yourself. I think there's a long way to go, which is very different also from this unrealistic perception of yourself, which is this narcissism of I am a 10 out of 10 and my life is perfect and I am perfect. I'm not saying we are perfect, yeah? But can we love ourselves even with our imperfections and love the journey that we are doing, striving towards the ideal life, let's say. And understanding I will never get there, but I'm going to strive towards perfection. And I'm going to love myself anyway, even if I'm not perfect right now. Very different from the narcissistic, yeah, who is like, adore me, I am the center of attention, I'm the center of life. So it's it's not a narcissistic attitude, it's a loving yourself attitude. And that's going to manifest in your breathing and the vibes that you project out there. And so you're going to get more opportunities to get to where you want to get. So that was the law of attraction. Which steps did I cover? I covered you have to think about what you want, and you have to create positive affirmations, and you have to visualize it, repeat it over a long period of time. Now, that's also interesting because that's something that we call very dharmic as well. Create an attitude of discipline. Yoga is about discipline. And look, even if you are being unrealistic, even if you are being a little bit delusional and you're creating these affirmations which are part of you does not believe, but you are having this visualization, even if you are doing all this and some of it has a karmic component, you are being very disciplined and you are being you have to be very constant. Every day you have to write in a journal and visualize it and create those words and set them to yourself. That discipline by itself already, that's going to bring you a certain mastery of your mind. So that's really dharmic. That's great. Yeah, just having that attitude is already going to be really having a very strong impact on you and the capacity to, let's say, not let your inner demons take over, because you are going to be in conscious, let's say, control over your illusions or your delusions. You know, when you are choosing what you want to project, well, at least you are doing something. Yeah, you're not just letting go of the reins and let the horses go wild. You are doing something with the mind, and that's great. That's excellent. So that's also a very positive thing of doing this law of attraction. I promise we have to cover both sides, the karma and the dharma. Yeah, nothing is perfect, but we have to see both sides. Then you visualize it, then you project it, then you do it for a long period of time. You start acting as if you already achieved that step. And then you have to feel grateful for what is coming and receive, being open to receive it for when it comes. Because if you manifest it enough, if you think about it enough, it will manifest. Well, okay, it's no guarantee that it's going to manifest, but your openness to receive the gift, that's also very important. There's lots of people who are very willing to help others and to give their time, their effort, their energy, their money to help other people. And when they need the help and somebody's willing to help, no, not me, others need it more. Well, come on. Now you use your opportunity to receive, but no, you just want to give to others. And they enjoy giving, and that's great. I love giving as well. Is sharing, giving is a wonderful feeling. But then if you need something, are you ready to receive it? So that's also very positive that this concept of law of attraction is preparing you to receive, is making you available for the possibility that it is in your destiny to get those things. So that's also very positive, yeah? And having an attitude of gratitude is always the highest attitude, we say in yoga. Yeah, we say longitude and latitude is given, yeah, where you are born in the planet, your family and your karmic family and so on. All that is given. Longitude and latitude is given. Altitude and attitude you have to establish. And the attitude of gratitude, yeah, kind of making a play with words. This attitude of gratitude is great. So the law of attraction helps you to establish this attitude that you're going to be grateful for everything that is coming. And that's a wonderful thing to have. It's difficult to be grateful when the bad karmas manifest, but can you learn from them so you can be grateful of what you learn from the bad karmas? And that's the one thing that I would say it's sometimes missing when you do this law of attraction. That sometimes people just are very ready to be grateful for what abundance is coming, but they are not willing to be grateful for the lessons that they could learn from the situation that they are in right now. They're just trying to escape the situation, and that's what is karmic about it. All right, so let's say something is going to manifest or not. Is it going to manifest or not? Well, it will depend on a number of things. First of all, it may not be in your destiny to receive those things that you are projecting. You may be imagining a number of things and they may not be aligned with what is for you in this life. So for anyone, for any person, especially for men, even more for men than for women, but anyone should do some self-reflection on what is your purpose in life and how is your purpose guiding you towards a destiny in which you can manifest your gifts and be of use not just for yourself, but be something that can be sharing something for the rest. Yeah, if we live our lives just taking, we live like little children. Yeah, children who just, the angry child is like, more, I want more. Well, hello, have you learned to share? So if the law of attraction is applied in a way that you just want more for yourself, that's the attitude of a little child. So at some point in life, if not earlier, during the middle age crisis, at some point of life, you have to turn from receiving into giving and turn from being the one who takes to the one who offers to others. So if you are creating this idea of what your purpose in life is, it's good to check whether that purpose contemplates that there is something that is going to be for others as well. If you have an idea of your purpose of life and it's purely selfish, then that's likely not going to bring you happiness at the end. And that's linked to the 7 steps to hell, 7 steps to heaven. But I have a video on that. If you're interested, you can watch the video on the 7 steps to hell and heaven. We create a game, we create the rules for the game, and we try to achieve the victory for the game. And even if you achieve the victory, you will be unsatisfied in some way or another, or you will have to prove again that you can make it again, that you can achieve the victory. And yeah, I'm seeing how this video is very connected to that video, the 7 steps to hell. So I would recommend that you go watch that one if this one was useful in any way. So maybe it's not in your destiny, right? Maybe it's not in if it's like material things, maybe it's not in your karma to receive those things. But you know what? First of all, if it's not, it may not manifest. And if it doesn't manifest, you may do as many positive affirmations as you wish, as many visualizations as you wish, and it will just not come. And then you will be frustrated with yourself and with this law of attraction, and then something is not working, and maybe you will feel that you are wrong, you don't know how to do it properly. And anyway, you can spend a lot of energy into trying to achieve something that is just material, and it's not serving you in any other way, all the energy and the effort that you did every day with those positive affirmations and visualizations, if you put it towards a different practice, finding, for example, being able to command your own mind, command your mind, to conquer your mind so that you don't fall into mind games and be able to move towards your achieved, your achievement, what you want to achieve in life, aligned with a purpose. If you put all that energy into that, it's going to be much more useful, let's say, than utilizing all that time to create something that is delusional and not even in your destiny. So that's another thing, yeah. However, it may be that by the power of your will, and if you ask for it enough, and if you like put all your mind into it, you may actually manifest it. And if it does, then I would say beware as well. Beware of what you wish to, because it may come. Because the ideas that we have of what we really want in our lives, what we really need in our lives, if I only had that, I would be happy. The ideas that we have are really wild. And it's like these stories, you may have heard these fairy tales where somebody finds like a genie in a bottle, right? And the genie manifests, and then you ask for your wishes, and you ask a wish, and everything goes wrong. Yeah, the genie does exactly what you say, but in such a way that it just brings chaos and suffering into your life. So, the prompt, that you give to the genie, that's going to be really important. But so even if you wish something and you wish it strong enough, and somehow the universe says, you know what, you really want that? You really, 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 really want that? Okay, let's see if it's true. And it gives it to you. First of all, you are like mortgaging your karma, right? Creating a mortgage to say, well, in the future, I'm going to have to pay for that. So let me get it now and I will pay for it later. And then when it comes, it's like, well, that's not exactly what I wanted. I thought if I had, the house by the beach, I thought I would be happy. And now, the air of the water is damaging the woods. And I'm always, maybe it's not good for my lungs, and maybe I'm always sick or whatever, who knows? So maybe by the time that you manifest what you want, maybe you realize that that's not what you want, and you're like, but that's okay because I have the law of attraction, so I can choose something else, right? So you can see how it can be a trap. So we also say this in yoga: beware of what you wish for, because it may actually realize. So beware of the wishes, which also implies one more thing, and maybe even one last thing, which is that by the very fact that you are trying to manifest some particular thing into your life, that means first you are not accepting your life as it is, and you think that you know better. This is like saying, God is wrong. He is wrong by bringing all this into my life. I think I know what I really deserve best into my life. So let me manifest it with the power of my will and the law of attraction. So yeah, that's a big delusion, thinking that you know better. So in yoga, we will talk about prayer, for example. And prayer is not necessarily something that you utilize to ask for things. Prayer is a communication with the divine, and also the divine within you, the divine part within us. If we utilize prayer to ask for things, again, be careful what you ask for, because it may come. So why not ask for something that is more intangible, and ask for hukam, the will of God, to be manifested and to be able to live in harmony and to live a happy life, which doesn't mean necessarily what you think it means, this life of abundance, different from the life of prosperity. So you can utilize prayer in your practice, you can include it, but prayer in a way that is more open to the divine will, rather than me trying to change the matrix of the universe around me so that what I want manifests. So that's just a really selfish attitude, right? Let the universe do what I want. Well, even if you had the power, even if you had the magic power to manifest it, isn't that really selfish to say, I'm going to magic what I want in my life right now? Well, okay. And some people will take it in a gracious way. Let's say, well, if more money comes, I will also be able to be in a better position to help others. And great, that's true. And if we have limiting beliefs and limited negative self-talk to what I deserve, of course, I'm going to be negating my capacity to be prosperous, and that's good. We have to deal with that. I'm not saying don't do that, and we have to deal with that. But rather than going into the abundance, going into the prosperity and changing the attitude. Okay, I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself, so that means that I've covered all the points that I was thinking about, how they are connected. If I am missing something from the law of attraction, feel free to write it on the text below, in the comments of the video. If you experienced it by yourself, if you applied the law and it worked or didn't work, or you had some experience with this topic, feel free to write a comment and let me know how it was. That was my humble understanding of the law of attraction from a perspective of yoga. And from me, for the time being, thank you very much for watching the video, and see you next time. Sadhana.